All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live webinar on the 16th edition of World Quality Report. My name is Sathish Natarajan, your host today. I lead the quality engineering practice for Sogeti and Capgemini in the Americas market. My journey with the World Quality Report has been very long and fulfilling, and in the recent years, I've had the privilege of mentoring the lead authors and serving as an executive sponsor. Today, I'm privileged to be joined by three of the sharpest minds in the field of quality: Mark, Jeba, and Sunita. We're going to start with brief introductions from each of you. If you could share a bit about yourself and also what really excited you most in this year's report. With that, Mark, I'm going to start with you first.
Welcome everybody on my behalf too. So my name is Mark Buenen. I'm the global leader for quality engineering and testing at Sogeti and Capgemini. I've been in the business of quality engineering and testing for more than 25 years now. So I've seen a lot of changes with organizations, not only in Europe, but really across the world. And I've also been a long timer involved in the World Quality Report, and I'm the executive sponsor of this year's World Quality Report. And really happy to share my insights with all of you.
All right, Jeba.
Thank you, Satish. Hey, everyone. Jeba Abraham. I lead the quality engineering practice for Sogeti US. This is my third World Quality Report as a lead author, and I've been with the Capgemini Group for about 11 years now. What I'm most excited for in this year's report is to really see how quality engineering is keeping up, right? I mean, we all know that the pace of technology innovation is just accelerating. And more often than not, we hear, oh, quality is a roadblock and quality slows things down. I don't think so. So, what I'm very excited about is to talk to you about how quality engineering as a field is evolving and how we are actually helping accelerate technology innovation.
All right. So, Sunita, thank you first of all. I know
Hi.
you are a special panelist for us this year. If you can introduce yourself, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's an absolute privilege to be here. I'm very excited for the session. I am the platform quality engineering global leader at Foot Locker, and I'm most excited about the shift in perspective that quality is a key driver for both business as well as customer satisfaction. And I'm also excited to kind of see how we're shifting left with the journey from a quality perspective and, instilling the discipline across the software development lifecycle. So thank you.
All right, excellent, excellent. All right, so with that, let's go into the session. What is the theme of this year's report? New futures and focus. Let's break this down into two parts. New futures. This is all about the technology and business transformation that we are witnessing already, whether it is Gen AI or automation or human in the loop systems. Those are fundamentally changing the what, how, and the why. In focus, while the possibilities are endless, clarity is absolutely essential. That is where quality engineering and testing plays a role. It's no longer about validating the present conditions, it's about preparing and rewriting the fast evolving future. Right, so we hope this year's report serves as a lens through which everyone can understand what is happening and prepare for these new futures. So with that, for those of you who are not familiar with the report, have not heard of it in the past or read the report, World Quality Report is considered the gold standard for the industry when it comes to all things quality engineering and testing. Only report in the industry that goes into the depth and breadth of quality engineering and gives a view of where things are today, what is trending, where it is going, what are the challenges, and provide best practices and expert recommendations to help shape your strategy and prepare you to focus on new futures. So, as a part of this year's research, we surveyed and interviewed about 1,700 senior leaders across 33 countries, 10 different sectors, including banking and financial services, manufacturing, automotive, life sciences, retail, consumer products, telecom, media, technology, etc. And we have correlated over 160,000 unique data points to present our research findings and expert recommendations. Very diverse profile of respondents. Almost one fourth of the people we surveyed and interviewed are CIOs. Over 300 testing professionals, are part of the response. Good amount of application directors and VPs, CTOs, product owners, as well as R&D leaders and chief marketing officers. So that's sort of the background and demographics of the report. Uh, so we carefully chose to focus this year's research on six different areas. The first one is what's happening in the Agile and DevOps world. Almost all organizations have transitioned to this model. What does this mean for quality engineering testing? That was the first focus area. Second was around automation. This has been a focus, pretty much since our first edition in 2008. But certainly a lot has changed. So even the fundamental definition of automation has changed. So we want to understand more about that. The third is on data quality. I always say data is considered the new gold, a very critical raw material for producing digital products and services today. So, how important is the quality of data, right? So, that was the third topic we focused on. The fourth was AI and quality engineering. AI and Gen AI in particular is poised to be a game changer. It's fundamentally changing the art of the possible. Again, we'll have some very interesting discussions on this topic. The fifth and sixth is around intelligent product validation and sustainability. We will not get into these last two topics on intelligent products and sustainability today, but certainly do encourage you all, to read the report and reach out to us, if you'd like to have a more detailed discussion, right? So, uh, with that said, before we go into the panel discussion, wanted to share an important housekeeping item related to Q&A. Please post any questions you have in the chat. We will try to answer as we go through the session today. We've also reserved some time towards the end to answer your questions. But if we cannot get to all of it, we will be sure to respond to you directly. So, with that, let's dive right into these four chapters and hear from our panelists. The first one I'm going to dive deep into is quality engineering in Agile and DevOps. Right. So, the role quality engineering plays in many organizations has continued to change over the years. How has that impacted the core competency of a quality engineer? Right. So Mark, I'm going to start with you, please.
All right, Sathish. So of course, when you think historically, there has been a lot of focus on test management skills, test engineering skills, but with the adoption of Agile in the last decade, there has been a massive change and shift towards more development skills, also for quality engineers. Um, so we still see that in the data, but what we really see this year for the first time is there's a kind of a move back to the core quality engineering capacity. You see that in the number of 70% of organizations that are expecting that. Still, the coding skills and the development skills are also important, but the other one that was also remarkable is, of course, the Gen AI skills, and it is understandable with Gen AI being the latest buzz in the market, which is rightfully getting a lot of attention. So it's no surprise that we also see this rise in Gen AI skills for QA and test professionals.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Jeba,
Uh,
thoughts?
yeah, Satish. So, couple of things here, right? Couple of interesting observations. One, it was a little bit surprising to see core quality engineering skills are prioritized now over core development skills, which was something surprising to see. In fact, when you look at the report this year, there's only 16% of organizations who pick lack of skills as an impediment. This number was 37% last year. So it's a significant drop. What we think is the quality engineers being embedded in agile teams has really created a cross pollination or of cross functional skills of quality engineers. So while an industry-wide recognition of the fact that you need independent core quality engineers. I think the skill set, though it's evolving, it feels that largely organizations have tried to manage this or tackle this through cross-functional people. The other thing that we also looked at, and Mark spoke about Gen AI as an upcoming technology. Now, not specifically focusing on Gen AI, but if you think about any kind of upcoming technology, do organizations really have good training mechanisms and pathways? So it was really interesting to see 82% of organizations say that they have very clear learning pathways for quality engineers. So they've kind of say cracked the code, for lack of a better term, to say, okay, what does it mean to be a good quality engineer? However, when it comes to adoption of those training programs, we see that less than 50% are actually tracking how those learning pathways are being adopted. So there's definitely some room to improve. But that I think for me was a little bit of a surprise to look at the skill mix to say, okay, core quality engineering skills are valuable and will be more valuable in the coming days.
All right. So, Mark, anything surprised you in this year's report on the agile topic?
Yeah, well, there are several surprises. Of course, Gen AI is a big topic, but we will talk about that later. But I think there was also a surprise on another topic, and that was really what are the most challenging things that organizations face today when it comes to quality engineering. And what was remarkable was that there is now a recognition that organizations are held back by the fact that quality engineering is not viewed as a strategic function. And this makes it difficult in organizations to get attention for the efficiency of quality, the investment in quality, also the standardization and the industrialization of quality. And quality engineer and testing practitioners across industries are challenged by that. So that is something that stands out. That acknowledgement that we need also to have a more, or organizations need to have a more strategic view on quality engineering and testing nowadays too.
Okay, okay, very interesting. So, Sunita, I'm going to just flip to you now. What's happening from an agile standpoint at Footlocker? It's always good to compare, contrast. What we find in the research with pragmatic views on the ground. From a leader and evangelist like you. Any thoughts, Sunita, from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. We're at a time actually leading a lot of transformation at Foot Locker, um, and it is with the mindset of focusing on people, process, and tools. Having said that, we actually have an entire organization uh, evangelizing agile ways of working, right? It doesn't have to be a full adoption of everything that there is within the agile construct, but there are bits and pieces that you can adopt and create strides toward that journey. So we're big about ensuring we are empowering team members. We are creating collaborations. We are setting them up for success. Jeba hit on things like having learning curriculums. I mean, we're all kind of going through that ourselves. And we are seeing a shift in terms of um, the camaraderie as well as the quality of what we're delivering. As we see, whether it is speed to market because the team members are embedded and leveraging the agile practices using dashboards and centralized viewing forums. um, all of that is definitely helping us um, champion a good solid quality software delivery.
All right, very good, very good. I can tell you, you're not alone, Sunita. So, all right, with that, let's talk a bit about what recommendations we have, on this particular topic. Mark, any key recommendations, for the audience here on how they should look at quality engineering and agile model?
Yeah, I think a key recommendation that we have is that what organizations really need to do is they really need to build what we call a product aligned quality engineering structure. And what we mean with that is in I think three main things. One is for sure at the heart of it. You need to make sure that you integrate agile quality engineers, or the quality engineers with the right skill set that are required today. Those functional stack test engineers, that you integrate those engineers directly into the product teams. Not that they have to do all the testing and quality work, but really that they enable within the team, within the organization team, that quality is taken care of from the beginning and throughout the whole in-sprint activities. Secondly, what you need to do in addition to that is also build a what I would call as a service capabilities, especially specialized technologies like test data, test environment, but also performance engineering. These are things that you need to have in an as a service mode, so that not every team needs to invent the wheel by themselves, needs to invent what technologies to use, and how can we in the best way provide our environments, which is an important impediment in many ways for many organizations. And the last thing, what I think is really important, is you need to ensure that there is also a more on a strategic level a support organization. And you need, as Sunita spoke about, build the communities, but also you need to track the quality KPIs. You need to track data environment. You need to track and provide the standards for QA and testing. And with that, you can build not only flexible, direct, in the heart of product engineering teams, quality activities, but you can also make it future proof by being able to adapt also on a strategic level to the required changes that are needed. I think these are the three main things, Satish.
Okay, very good, very good. So, Jeba, any bills on top of what Mark said?
Yes, so Satish, just one build, which is focusing on Mark's point where he said, "Hey, it was this was the biggest surprise for me, where quality engineering is not seen as a strategic, part of the organization." So, I think what we as a quality engineering community need to do is shift the perspective to focus more on broader metrics. We are so focused on looking at process efficiency, automation coverage. I think these things are table stakes. I think the especially with the advent of agile, we moved well beyond measuring the individual aspects. We have to really talk about how quality engineering contributes towards business outcomes. What's the revenue impact? What's the customer satisfaction? What's the overall product quality? What's the NPS score? Things like that actually need to be tracked for quality engineering as a discipline to really stay front and center of the business, because we do play a very critical role. The other thing that I want to also touch on, which is the other side of the coin, because we spoke a little bit about training earlier. I think we also, from a career progression for our quality engineers, need to think beyond technical training skills, technical skills. We really need to think about aspects like risk management. What's the business aspect of the work that the quality engineers are involved in. I think that's the other side of the coin with regards to changing the perspective of, or at least perception of, how quality engineering is strategic towards reaching and succeeding business objectives.
All right, very good. So that's really good conversation on the first chapter. So, in the interest of time, I want to move on to the next chapter, which is on automation. Again, automation is not new in the industry, but what I'm more interested to hear from you all is, has it reached a level of maturity, or is there still room to go? So Jeba, is there room to grow in automation, or have you hit a ceiling from a maturity standpoint in automation?
Now, there's definitely room to grow, Satish. Again, there's the whole AI ML aspect of it. But before even going there, I think what we have seen largely happen with regards to automation, or quality automation, lifecycle automation, as we call it as a topic, is, I would say, a little bit of a fragmentation. There's a huge amount of tools in the market. In fact, last year in the World Quality Report, we ourselves said, hey, there is no one size fits all. There is no silver bullet when it comes to automation. You need to have a cocktail of tools that are fit for purpose. But I think what we're finding is more and more organizations have a very fragmented approach to automation. There's a lot of tools that are being used in pockets, and there is no clear, or a lot of organizations, more than 50% in fact, are struggling with having a clear automation enterprise level strategy. Okay, what is the standard set of tools on how I'm going to drive automation, and because of which they are definitely also not, I would say, getting the full benefits of automation that they could potentially achieve, right? And again, some aspects of it are also with regards to bringing in Gen AI as a topic. Absolutely, it's going to contribute quite a bit to driving automation, and to accelerating some of these initiatives around the whole automation transformation. But there's definitely, we have not hit the ceiling. So I think those are the two key aspects. One is really organizations need to look at the plethora of automation solutions that are being used and really have a clear clarity of thought and strategy on how they want to drive automation. What's the set of tools that will help them, go forward on that journey.
Okay, no, very good insights, Jeba. So Mark, any words of wisdom from you? Please share your recommendations as well.
Yes, so I think Jeba called it out well. We have, over the course of the years, over the 16 World Quality Reports, we have always been looking at quality automation, and we still find that it is challenging. And with the transition to agile, it has not become easier. And one of the, well, the core facts behind is that you see not the right organization of automation activities, and it's left to individual teams. And on the other hand, there's an abundance of technology teams can choose from, and of course nowadays each team will try to find, okay, what works for me. But in the end, for an enterprise, if you think it from an enterprise level, that of course is suboptimal. It doesn't work out. So that automation strategy that Jabba called out is for me really the key thing that organizations need to seriously consider. So what is our standard for automation? What is the expectation of teams? Define the KPIs around the topics. This is for me all part of that strategic thinking about automation. Secondly, of course, look at the new technologies. Look at Gen AI, especially Gen AI is now, of course, an important area that we should look at. But even before that, AI, self-healing, self-adaptive test automation systems. Look at these solutions and try to incorporate them in your automation approach. Um, and then, yes, we need to rationalize on the automation tools. There's such an abundance, as we said earlier, but you need, as an organization, you need to check, okay, which tools are really our standard tools. Create your marketplace, as we called it a few years ago, where you say, well, this is the standard stack that we recommend all our teams to use. And for that standard stack, it's easier to also build the right level of support. And then last but not least, make sure that the teams, the talent, the QA professionals, but also the engineers in the teams are rightfully trained in being able to leverage automation, because it is easy to make a mistake and to start driving automation, but without proper thinking, you'll end up by setting yourself up for failure, because you really need to think about the maintainability of automation, and that requires also a good approach, but also good technology skills within the QA people and the QA teams and the product teams to be able to work in the right way with automation technology.
All right, well said, Mark. Thank you. So, Sunita, I know this topic is very near and dear to you. How are you tackling automation as a topic at Footlocker, right? And also, if you can talk a little bit about do the recommendations that you see in the World Quality Report resonate with what you see in reality on the ground at Footlocker?
Absolutely. I mean, before I even go into responding to the question, I've been very feverishly writing notes down as Jeba and Mark have been talking over here. So I have a whole notebook of thoughts that I need to, tie back to this response. Um, you're absolutely right, Satish. I mean, at Foot Locker, we're celebrating 50 years this year. I mean, hurrah, right? And so when you think about 50 years of journey, we're a company who has a very complex architecture and technology stack. We have the mainframe, we have microservices, we have cloud computing, we have on-prem solutions, we have, name it, we have it. On top of that, we're a global organization. We're in 26 countries. We have distributed point of sale systems. We do omni-channel. We're on mobile, we're on devices, we're on the web. Uh, Talk about cross-browser accounting for iOS's. I mean, there's so much when you have to think about a true holistic enterprise-driven solution. So as Mark and Jeba mentioned, the cocktail of automation tooling is actually very real. It is absolutely real because it's not a one size fits all. I can't have a Java web-based solution that's going to be suitable for a POS automation solution, right? So when we think about our automation, we are being more purposeful about it, and we are pausing to weigh our options before we sanction what that cocktail is going to look like for us. As we talked earlier in the conversation, um, there was a couple of mentions around um, having a strong test data management approach, having a strong test environment management, a solution for automation to be successful. I believe it's a trifecta, right? You need all of those to kind of coexist so that you actually have the ability to build your CI/CD pipelines for continuous test. We want the continuous feedback loops and inputs from observability. We promote a culture of quality between dev, test, and ops, and very much embedded in the business aspect of things. I think the KPIs, Mark touched on having strong KPIs. Jeba talked about KPIs, and KPIs not so uh, in the table stakes perspective, right, Jeba, but more so from a customer's perspective, right, from your end user's perspective. What better than an NPS score to tell you how you're doing as an overarching, technology team? And technology is now so prominent with driving your business, and we play a very, very critical role in all of it. So for us, automation is not you know, a single word, but more so an intelligent concatenation of a solution that is scalable, maintainable, and the continuous learning aspect that you all touched on. Very, very critical. I mean, you are seeing the fast evolution of tooling, AI, etc. And it's really difficult to find the unicorns in the world that you want to have on your team, right? So for us, that's it's a very real use case, and that's pretty much how we are approaching it, Satish.
No, very good, very good. I like what you said, Sunita. It's not a single word to me. It's actually a mindset, right? So
Hmm.
it's a mindset that organizations need to have on how to drive automation. How to become more productive. We are always fighting against time, and how to gain more efficiency. So uh, yeah, I absolutely love what you said. So with that, let's go to the third chapter on data quality, right? So I think we touched a little bit on data quality, through the conversation so far. It is so critical to the quality of test outcomes, right? And my worry is, with more and more adoption of AI and with the advent of Gen AI, right? See, the prominence of data and data quality has become even more extremely important, right? So let's talk a little bit about what has really changed with regards to the focus on data quality. So now I'm going to flip before I go to talk about the findings from research. Sunita, I'm going to start with you first and see what opportunities or challenges from your perspective on data quality that you see at Footlocker.
Gosh, for us, we have a heightened awareness of data quality impact. Um, we are very focused on ensuring we have very accurate test results, and the effectiveness of the test data plays a huge part in it. Um, we are enhancing our data generation techniques. We're using synthetic data, we're using data augmentation tools, um, automated data quality checks to monitor and validate your data quality, identify issues and anomalies before it actually truly becomes a problem in production. um, we're trying to be more proactive than reactive, right? So think about predictive data quality analysis. There's several techniques. You could leverage historical data to build, identify your quality trends and predict potential issues and proactively address them. There's a lot within data, just with I guess a lot of news around data breaches, security. So there's a lot of awareness that we create amongst ourselves as an organization.
All right, no, very good, very good. Thank you, Sunita. So Mark, any insights, from a report on data quality from this year?
Yeah, well, good to hear that at Foot Locker, at least the organization is serious about data quality and has taken measures to do that. Because what we still found in the report, and that was maybe a little bit a shock for us, that over one third of organizations still are even not aware or do not consider that data and the data quality is of high importance. And I think that is misunderstanding what you really can do with your data, especially if your data is of the right quality. On the other hand, I understand it's also a challenging factor, of course, to achieve the right level of control and monitoring of the quality of data. It's not an easy thing. Um, but what we see in at least in the other two-thirds of the organizations, they look at how you can increase the production quality, how you can get better customer outcomes and cost reduction by improving the quality of your data. Because those organizations, they're really working with their data to optimize their business processes, to optimize and to be more directly connected to their customers and their end clients. Um, that is at least good that two-thirds are, in a way, as Sunita described, seriously thinking. But I still think that the one-third that is not aware, that's not doing that, is lacking awareness about what I really can do with that valuable element of data that I have in their organization.
Yeah, no, it is indeed concerning. So Jeba, any observations from your end?
Yeah, so Satish, just building on what Mark said, right? So uh, it's a surprising number that we found. 34% of organizations are still using unmasked production data for testing. Can you imagine that in today in 2024? Ownership of test data. There's about 40% of organizations that feel that the test data ownership is with the testing team. There's about 36% who have dedicated test data teams. So there's like a lot of work to be done in this. I would feel so. With regards to even with regards to updates, there's only 44% of organizations that have a regular cadence of data updates in their lower environments. And the rest, they just do it when there is a major program or ad hoc. They don't really have a good discipline with regards to provisioning test data. So I mean, there's quite a bit to be done. We would say start with establishing clear ownership. I think that's going to be primary. Organizations really need to invest in their test data teams. They should have clear ownership and they should have an overall test data strategy, similar to what we spoke about automation, right? And this is not just with regards to data quality, but also with regards to masking, with regards to synthetic data generation, and all kinds of business related data. There's definitely scope for utilizing or leveraging AI, Gen AI solutions in this space. Hopefully, that will help us overcome some of the traditional challenges that we've seen with test data management. We all know it's not easy. It's a very complicated space. And we also think that there is a lot of ground to be gained by adopting legal frameworks like GDPR, right? Just being GDPR compliant automatically forces quite a bit of discipline with regards to the ownership of the data policies, the processes, the controls. All of that will automatically sort of come in when you start, aligning yourself to some of these legal frameworks. So there's quite a bit to be done with regards to data quality, and especially with this, the advent of the golden age of AI, as we are starting to see. Data quality is going to be more and more important, and the organizations that are having good quality data will stand to gain quite a bit from their AI initiatives.
All right, very good, very good. No, thank you, Jeba. So let's go to the last topic, my favorite one, where I personally spent a lot of time this year. I intentionally saved the best for the last. Let's talk about AI, right? So Gen AI, has been rapidly evolving, and we are seeing everyone actually going crazy about it, right? So at the same time, there has been a sense of, I would say, skepticism on the real world research. Uh, what are some of the highlights? Jeba, I'm going to start with you, right? So, what did we learn from this year's research on AI from a quality engineering standpoint?
So there's a lot to unpack here, Satish. Let me start with just the most astounding fact, right? Only 4% of organizations say that they are not exploring Gen AI
Yeah.
solutions at this point in time, and that number was 31% a year ago. So if you look at the rapid adoption of Gen AI as a technology, it's really exciting. And out of the 68% that are saying that they are using Gen AI or developing roadmaps, 34% have already moved past the pilot phase. So it's one third of all organizations globally are saying, well, I've done with a pilot. I think this is useful, and I'm actually going to, move past and building a roadmap on how I'm going to utilize this. So the adoption is just phenomenal, right? And with regards to the hype cycle, as you mentioned, I would say that we are not past it, but probably we are at the cusp of it, mainly because I think reality is starting to set in. Again, as with any new technology, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of different use cases organizations are trying out. I would say there's a huge amount of experimentation going on out there. So if I start with the kind of use cases that organizations are predominantly using, Gen AI for, what we see on the ground, when we as Capgemini Sogeti work with clients, we typically pick up use cases around test case generation, test automation, script generation, and the like. But when we looked at the results from the World Quality Report, organizations have predominantly been using Gen AI for test reporting, for defect analysis, for knowledge management, test data management, and use cases around these, which definitely were not in even the top five of the projects that we run, the Gen AI project. So somewhere it doesn't reconcile, but in my opinion, it doesn't have to, because that's literally a representation of what's happening out globally, because all organizations are experimenting and everybody is trying out different use cases to figure out where they get the best bang for buck, what are the low hanging fruits, what are the things that they should tackle first. And that's why they're kind of doing the whole road mapping exercise. So this is going to evolve, I would say, in the next 12 months or so. So it'd be very interesting to see how this is further evolved in the future. But then again, adoption and experimentation apart, there are definitely challenges when it comes to taking the Gen AI as a topic forward within quality engineering, right? So if I start with, first off, there is definitely some kind of a challenge with regards to a clear strategy on evaluating even the usefulness of a Gen AI solution. So this is not exactly a very expensive technology to run a pilot on, and you can do it really fast. But then, do I really have the right framework and KPIs to figure out how useful, this Gen AI pilot was, and this use case versus this use case? How do I evaluate which is more useful for me, and what should I focus on first? I think organizations are struggling with having clarity of thought with regards to validating Gen AI solutions. There is definitely and Sunita spoke very nicely of these unicorns that she's looking for her team. Absolutely, there is a skill gap when it comes to Gen AI solutions. So there is a need for quality engineering skills, but then technology skills, but then also now Gen AI gets added on top. So Different organizations are trying different things. There is a a path to upskill people, but they are also looking out to the open market to find Gen AI experts. So that is a gap that organizations need to plug in before they scale the Gen AI setup structures that they're building. And the other most important and also interesting aspect is organizational structures. And we spoke quite a bit about Mark talked about these product aligned quality organizations, right? So now when you bring in Gen AI as a topic, where does that fit in? Does it really fit in with the agile teams, with quality engineers using it democratically? Does it need to be an AI COE that is, horizontal across all of the product teams? I don't think organizations have figured that out either. And it looks like different approaches are being tried, and we can't really yet predict what would be the path forward. And obviously that's also going to be a bit contextual to how organizations are running things and how they are structured today. So there's a lot that's going on with regards to Gen AI as a topic, and it definitely will be very interesting to see how this evolves in next year's World Quality Report. But definitely early days, Satish.
Yeah, in fact, I'm curious about not even waiting for one more year, Jeba. So I think things are changing so rapidly. Before I wake up tomorrow morning, I think something would change. Right? So that's the way I'm thinking about, particularly this topic, right? So, but anyway, with that, but again, thank you, Jeba. It gave a lot of insights, and you certainly gave a lot of data points for our audience to think about. Right. So let's talk about some recommendations. So Mark, any recommendations on Gen AI topic for our audience today?
Yeah, well, the key recommendation is if you have not done it yet, start with it, embrace it, because it is truly powerful. Jabba talked about the fact that we have been using it as Capgemini and Sogeti for our clients already for more than a year now, and we have developed that. We see massive potential of increasing productivity with creating test cases or generating test cases from that ranges from 20 to 60%. So that is there's a lot you can gain. But there's one warning I also want to make with it, because um, the powerful element about Gen AI is that it is really easy to use. So everybody can start interacting with an LLM system, asking it to generate test cases or test scenarios or test scripts, and it will provide results. And that is the good thing, but it's also there's also a risk to it, because if you blindly accept the outcome of a Gen AI system without really looking at, but is this really the level of quality that we need? You might be set up for true mistakes. And what we have found out is you can create very thorough, very robust, very reliable test scenarios with an LLM system, like OpenAI on Azure or AWS. But to get that out of it, you really have to do a lot of energy in the prompting, and that is what Jebba also said. So if you give it out to the teams, do it with guardrails, do it with also with the right support of how are we as teams, how are we using the outcomes in a sensible way, in a smart way, and we are not setting up for mistake. But don't be afraid. That is also, I don't want to call that out. We have to experiment. We have to embrace it because it is really a powerful announcement of what teams can do nowadays and what teams will be able to do in the near future.
Right, very good, very good. So, Sunita, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you are approaching AI and Gen AI at Footlocker.
Absolutely. It definitely is a very broad conversation. It started out to being the hype, the myth, and now turning into being more of a reality. Um, to Jeba's point, I'd say I'm somewhere in that 68th percentile, right? Where we are doing our trials, we're doing our experimentation. Um, there's definitely some skepticism. The skepticism stems from the fact that um, there is a security aspect, right?
Yeah.
There is potential hallucinations. What is the validity and the thoroughness and effectiveness of a given model? And build versus buy, right? Do I hop on and, you know, cut that learning curve by adopting something that's already there, or do I actually in-house this whole thing? So there's a lot of conversation and strategy in play. Um, as an organization, we do have our own AI committee. So any AI, even if I'm thinking of a proof of concept, I actually have to straddle through the, what we call red tape. It is for our own security, obviously. Uh, but the focus is there, and the focus is in ensuring the solution is going to be safe, secure, and effective for the organization. And then the last thing that I think was touched on was the organization structure. Where does it really lie, right? Um, we're approaching this just quality engineering in general, and quality engineering and software delivery. Very much so, you build it, you own it. And so we are attempting to be very democratic. We want to have solutions that are scalable and adaptable across the teams, and it's cross functionally utilizable, right? So from that perspective, definitely an evolution. I too am curious to see where we're headed. Uh, Maybe somewhere in the middle. Maybe don't want the entire change to happen tomorrow, and not necessarily looking for the entire year, but somewhere in the middle. And I think it's definitely very promising. The use cases that we're teasing out are much in line with what you said. Can we use prompt engineering? Can we, spit out some test cases? Have the ability to find defects, enable self-healing capabilities in the test cases. And what does that do? If you think about it, at the end of the day, that definitely improves productivity, effectiveness, engagement, more job satisfaction. And what else do you want more than having happy team members, right? So, end goal, you have happy team members, they make the customers happy. So, I'll wrap with that, Satish. I think that's a good
No,
note.
that's an amazing wrap, Sunita. Happy team, happy customers. That I'm going to make that a slogan also. No,
Yeah. Hey, we want to sell more sneakers, right? Like at the end of the day, we're all about selling as many kicks as we can. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's two things that sort of got my attention. You spoke about guardrails and governance, right, from an AI perspective. I think it's very important. As audience for you, as you start to pilot and start to swim in the ocean, please make sure you have the governance in place, you have the guardrails in place, right? So and glad to see, Sunita, you're already swimming as well as an organization in this ocean. So with that, as we wrap up the discussion, I would like you all to walk out of the session with some key takeaways, and importantly, some call to action, right? So I think from a leadership standpoint, it is time to elevate your game, collaborate and drive the change. So if I were to summarize and headline the call to action, on each of the topics that our panelists spoke today, first on agile, what we heard was adopt a product aligned quality engineering structure, align quality engineering with metrics, focus on business outcomes. That's the call to action on agile. Automation, I think Mark spoke about it. Develop an enterprise wide QE automation strategy. That's the call to action on automation. On data quality, what we heard was assign clear ownership, implement a comprehensive data quality management framework, and also embrace legal frameworks that'll bring more discipline. Fourth, on Gen AI, move beyond experimentation and start developing strategic roadmaps. So that's sort of the summary. Although we didn't get to discuss on the other two chapters on intelligent products, it requires a holistic quality strategy. Put AI in the front and center of your test strategy when it comes to intelligent product validation. On sustainability, a very important agenda in the boardroom. Please act as custodians of sustainability. Please measure the environmental impact and track and report the green IT KPIs. So that's it for today. Thank you everybody for joining. We will answer each of your questions in the chat window. Please do reach out. More than happy to engage in further discussions and do a deeper dive on any of the topics we covered today, or on the overall report, or on the industry itself. So, with that, thank you to all the panelists, and thank you to all the attendees. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, team.
Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Sathish. Thank
All
you.
right.